All right. Good morning. I am Toni from the Fibrology Lab, and this is Coffee Chat, something new I've started this month. And I'm going to continue doing it because so far I'm having fun. So that's the most important. I want to enjoy this process, and hopefully you are getting something out of it. I Now my internet's not coming up. Great. Let's see what just happened. It says we're still live, so that's good, but my camera's gone. I don't know where my camera went. Okay. Oh, it's got to be one thing or another, right? Is it working? My camera's not showing up. Do you guys see me? If you can see me, let me know. I might have to. Oops, I went off. Damn it. I don't have this from home. So there's something. Am I on? Am I on now? That was the weirdest thing. I just realized it's still broadcasting. Yay for technology. So something happened in our internet here in the office and it cut me out and I'm trying to reset things and apparently I'm still on. So that's a good thing, right? So you guys hear and see me now? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, good. Oh, let me get back in my tooth just went weird. All right, so welcome. I'm Toni from Fibrology Lab, and this is Coffee Chat. And I'm excited because today I'm going to start a new series within this Coffee Chat. Now, I might not talk about it every day, but I am going to talk about it for at least 17 sessions. So the first thing, oh my gosh, I'm so discombobulated now that totally set me off when the internet doesn't work right. At least I was recording. Hopefully, I didn't say anything stupid or bad because I think there was a cuss word in front of there somewhere. Hopefully, you guys didn't see that. So the first thing I want to be able to do is talk about how to comment. So what I've done is I've brought my iPad up so I can see what it looks like when I'm going live. Let me see if I can go ahead and get it back up and see if it shows me. Yep, it does show it live. Okay. So I am using an iPad and I have the YouTube app on my iPad and I've opened it up to the Fibrology Lab. And on the side, you have to sign into chat. So that's the first thing. So I'm going to turn this around so you guys can see it. So this is what it looks like on my iPad. Whoop, look a little crooked. Down here in the bottom, it says you have to sign in to chat. So that's important to know. So you're going to sign in to chat. I don't know if I need to be able to do it because, again, I'm on my account. And then once you do that, you're going to have a little chat bar down here. Now, if you are on your phone watching this, you're going to have to turn it portrait style so you can see the comments that way. So let me know if you still have problems trying to get to the comments and try to see that. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so I'm just making sure it works. So if you have any problems, just leave a comment or you can email me and we'll still try to work through how to leave a comment. So the key thing is you're going to have to sign into YouTube to access that ability. And it's going to be kind of important if you have questions regarding things that I'm going to be talking about. So my computer's set up over here. So I'll be doing one of these twisting things, working out my hips and my lower abdomen. We'll see if that helps. Oh, we'll see what happens. A couple things I wanted to talk about. So last night was our opportunity to do the quilting venture, the great quilting adventure. So if you missed that, you can go back to Facebook or in our app or on our webpage or Instagram or within our Facebook group. There's a recording there. You can find it in any of those places. And I talked a little bit, well, I talked a lot actually about different notions and tools. That is what I'm going to focus on today for our first section. But one of the things I forgot to mention last night was our ELF workshop. So our ELF workshop is I'm going to do something really quick here. Our ELF workshop is a virtual class. I will host it in a private Facebook group. And what I do is I find 6 different mini projects for you to recreate just in the nick of time to give away as gifts into the holiday season. I have done this program, over 10 years. I found files as I was getting ready to prepare for this that date back from 2010. So I've been doing it for a long time. And normally I do it in the shop in a classroom setting. And I have 6 projects that you get to work on. And the best part is I cut everything, prepare everything. So all you do is show up and you sit and you sit and sew. Basically, that's it. We've gone a little virtual now. I don't have a place to have a classroom. So I'm still offering the opportunity for me to send a kit to you so you can just sit and sew when it's convenient for you. Or if you have plenty of stash, I'm sure we all have plenty of stash or scraps or leftovers that you can recreate these. I'm giving you that option to get into the virtually. So if you are interested, I put the link in the comments and I'm going to show you some past. These ones were from last year, just to give you an idea. It's a mystery. I know what I'm going to show you, but I'm not going to tell you until we start the ELF workshop. It starts the day after, it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So you can sit down at the weekend. All videos will be posted in the group. You can spend the whole weekend sewing and then turn around and give the gifts out in December. So this one's an all-time favorite. This one is the half circle napkin, little tree napkin. That was one thing we've done. We've done that one several times. And these are going to be 6 new projects. So if you've done this in the past with me, there are going to be 6 new projects. And like I said, I've done this for 10 years. So there are things I've never done before. Another thing we did last year was our kitchen boa. And so what it is, it's just it's hand towels with a little strip so you can easily use it when you're cooking and baking this holiday season or give it away as a gift. This is another favorite. I've done this one several times. This is a drawstring bag, but there's no raw edges in it and it's lined. So it's a really nice drawstring bag. And this was something fun, just a little trivet, a little hot pad with that looks like a peppermint candy. This one was done like 2 or 3 years ago because I have a box of these. So I was like, well, I'll just pick the top 4 off the top, and that's what I did. So if you're interested in that, that starts, like I said, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and you can sign up with the link I put in there. So who's all come on? So I can say hello and good morning. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Miss Anna. Hey there, Phil. Good morning to you. And long Colonel Scorpio. I don't know who you are, but I think you have a very interesting name. So welcome this morning again as well. Have I missed anybody? I'm making sure. Okay, we're good. We're good. So again, if you are trying to figure out how to comment just before I jump right into some of the meat, because you might want to ask questions. I brought my iPad to kind of show you what's going on. When you open up, you're going to do it in the YouTube app because the app is where it's at. You see the YouTube app, and you're going to see on the side here comments. On the bottom, it says sign in to YouTube for you to access it. Now, this is done on an iPad, so if you're doing it on your phone, you're probably going to have to tilt it like this, and you're going to find that information underneath the video. So, again, if you have problems trying to comment, just email me and we'll figure it out for tomorrow. Oh, Deborah. Okay, that's a great name. I can remember that, Deborah. From now on, I'm going to call you Deborah. How's that? Let's see whoever said this. Okay, we're doing good. All right. So over the next couple weeks, couple months, I'm going to do what I'm Quilting Basics. It's based on my class, Learn to Quilt. So this is something I have taught over, what did I say, 10 years, 12 years, 12 years, because I was looking at my book, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So I've been teaching quilting for a long time, and things change, and I've adjusted and changed my thinking in some of these processes. And you know what? You guys are going to teach me just as much as I'm going to teach you. So this is kind of cool how we can give and take in learning together. So what I have done is I've created a PDF with a supply list and a generalized outline what we'll be going through over the next couple weeks and couple months. Typically, I teach this class in 5 to 6 sessions, 2.5 hours each, with only 4 people. So it's really intimate. And it costs $125 without supplies because it just takes a lot of time. So you guys are getting a bonus free class. So, but y'all know I'm a squirrel, so we might be going squirrely directions in some of these things. So today we're going to talk about the supply list. And what I encourage you is not to go out and rush out and buy brand new stuff. I want you to look around what you have and use what you've got. I think one of the key things in learning quilting is finding the right tool for yourself. Yes, there's right tools for the right processes, but there's also the right tool for yourself. So you might have to test a couple different things to figure out which one works the best. Now, I am going to encourage quality is better than cheapness or inexpensiveness. So think about that. Maybe you have to budget, say, okay, really want to upgrade all my rulers, but I know it's going to cost me some money, so I'm going to do one a month or something. So kind of think in that way as well, because let's be honest, quilting is not cheap. But the better the quality of your tool, the better your outcome of your finished project. And that's what we really want. We put so much so much work into this. We are really close to a fire department. Can you tell? Did you hear that siren go by? We put so much time and effort into putting a quilt together. You really want to make sure you're spending just as much quality money on the tools that you're going to be used. So I've got my supply list. I'm going to walk through it. If you would like a copy of this PDF, it is already uploaded in our Mighty Networks. Our Mighty Networks, you can join it. It's free. All you got to do is go to friends with an S, fibers with an S, fun.club. And that's our Mighty Networks. And in there, there's a group that I have set aside just for all these PDFs and show and tell and processes as we go through it. So the most important thing, I think, for any new quilter is books. The reference book that I have used to build this program up, which is, I think, out of print because I went looking for it today to see if you can order it. Can you get it on the big A? You can get it on the big A. It's just going to be used. It's not going to be brand new. I don't think it's published anymore. But I found I could order it from a distributor too. So anyway, it's called Start Quilting with Alex Anderson. It's a very basic book. See how thin it is? It's an inexpensive book. It's like, this one I originally paid $15 for. But what I have done is I've taken blocks out of this book that we'll put into our quilt back here. The other thing is she's got some great things for you to think about and talk about. But I'm going to go through all of it because there's some things I'm not crazy about because that's the way we roll. I have other options and other methods versus what she has suggested in here. So this is the first thing I recommend, at least some type of beginner quilting book. This one wasn't expensive. This one's thin, so you don't feel overwhelmed. But there's so many other ones out there as well. But this is the one I based my pattern off of. So that's the first thing you want to get. And this I did not put on the supply list. I'm going to talk about this too. I didn't put everything a quilter needs on the supply list. This is for learning to quilt. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to suggest other things for you so you can grow, start thinking when you see something on sale or you want to add it to your budget so you kind of know. Now, this is another older book. They have redone this whole book. It looks more, I won't say modern. It's white and it's got more crisp lines, but the information in there will save you time in worrying about math. One of the cool things, there are a couple cool things in here. It has measurements for setting triangles. Where's the backing? The most important piece is backing and binding. It also tells you in here how to cut your binding, how big to make your binding. It has different sizes for quilts, bed sizes. Where's the one? I know that this is the one we used to use all the time in the shop. Besides the binding, was the yardage for quilt backing. So this is a really cool reference book. Again, it's not more than like $17. This one's $17, but I think it's like another dollar or two nowadays. But anyway, this is another book I encourage you to have. It's not part of your supply list, but it's another great reference tool to have. Have I missed any questions? All right. You have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them into the chat, because I will respond to them. So I'm going down my list. I even got my pen so I can make sure I check it off here. So we've got that. Now, if you would like to go ahead and sew along with us, I'm going to encourage you to dig in your stash and find 1.25 yards of a of a print. And it could be anything you want. Just make sure it has more than a couple colors in it. And I'm going to walk through how to pick coloring and fabrics for it in the future session. Next session. So the one we'll do Tuesday. So I'll do our next session Tuesday for this quilt. So just go ahead and pick out something that's got lots of color in it, in something you like and you want to do something with. And that'll be your first fabric you pick out. So that's 1.25 yards. You need your sewing machine in good working condition. What's that mean? It doesn't make any funky, noisy sounds. I encourage you to have it cleaned, have it serviced. I know it's a lot of money, but the more often, if you can have your machine serviced, it's going to last you longer and you're not going to be able to be stuck and have to purchase a new one. Servicing machine, if you sew more than, I would say, 10 to 20 hours a month, you need to have it done every year. Now, if you are super sewer, like you do 10 hours to 20 hours a week, you want it done every 6 months. Now, if you just do it here and there for hemming, you probably can go for a couple years. That is 2. I would not go longer than that, because the oils and the grease also get dried out and get stiff. So something to keep in mind. I encourage you to get your machine serviced. So on the supply list, again, remember, I'm using this for someone coming to class. This is a checklist if you're coming to class. So you got to make sure there's a paracord, and you got to make sure there's a foot controller. I encourage a 1/4 inch foot for your machine. All machines have them available. Not all machines come with them. So you're going to probably have to purchase it if you don't own one. And don't be confused. Let me turn my camera to the other camera. So you guys can see my notions that I have at the table. Let me do this. Okay, excellent. It's a little crooked. Let me get some stuff out of the way. Right, so this is we'll talk about rotary cutters. I just thought that was fun showing out. That's not all the ones I own, just so you know. But I wanted to be able to do this. I wanted you to see a 1/4 inch foot. So this is my 1/4 inch foot. I own a Janome. If you happen to own a Janome, it's going to be the letter O. If you own a Bernina, it's either going to be a 37 or a 57 foot. And anything else, I don't know what letter or number they are, but those are the 2 I use, so I have those personally. And I want you to look at how this foot is made. There's a piece of metal right here that's a 1/4 inch from, once you put it on the machine, a 1/4 inch seam will be right to that flange. If you have a foot that has the flange in the middle, that is not a 1/4 inch foot. That is a blind hem stitch foot. And maybe one day I'll talk about the different feet in your sewing machine. But for now, you want something that looks similar to this. I have seen clear feet with it on, like in the Husqvarnas and some of the brothers. They use their foot is clear with little red marks, and it's got the black or silver flange on that side as well. So that's what I encourage you to have for your machine. If you don't, do not worry, because I'm also going to show you how to find the 1/4 inch seam on your machine. So one of the things I've said a couple times already this week is I teach accurate processes. I don't teach perfection. And if you can do all the 3 processes, cutting, pressing, and sewing accurately, your finished project's going to look great. But if one of them kind of slides a little bit, like say you miscut a little bit, your sewing, well, I'll show you ways to make the sewing kind of take care of those little situations. So, all right, my next thing on my list is rotary cutter. All right, let's talk about rotary cutters. I had to pull these up because I thought I just like, wow, look at all the rotary cutters I have. And I'll tell you which ones I enjoy and which ones I use. Again, this is one of those tools that you can find what works with your hand and type. I'm left-handed, so I actually prefer ones that don't have to flip my blade. So this one is an Olfa. It's all reliable. The only thing I recommend about this is if you have little ones at home or you are a grandparent and you have kiddos that come visit, this is not the one I recommend you use all the time because we have a tendency to leave the blade open. And I know a lot of my friends who know me, especially working in the shop, if there's an open blade, they get in trouble because I'm so scared of open blades. So one of the things you're going to have to learn to do is when you cut, make sure you're learning to close that up. So I don't recommend it for people that have kids in the house. But there's a point sometimes in certain rulers and tools, you might need this style of cutter. So this is the one I use, one of the most ones I use. I have another one I use. It's a pressure one, which I didn't bring to show. But I brought these here to show you the 5 different sizes of rotary cutters out there on the market. These are a Clover brand. And you can see this is a 60 millimeter. This is a 45, which is your most common. This is what I encourage you to use for cutting your fabric for quilts. This one is 28. This one's 18. And I can't remember how small this one is, but it's teeny tiny. And I'd be honest, I don't use these two because they're too small. And the purpose of these were meant for more small, intricate cutting. I just use a pair of scissors. But I use these 3 a lot. I use this one a lot for paper piecing. This one to cut my major fabric. This one to cut fleece, batting, thicker lofts of fibers. So that's what I use this one for. When we look at this, again, I'm left-handed. When we're going to be cutting, the blade on a left-hander needs to be hitting the left side of the ruler. If you're right-hander, you're going to put it on the right side of the ruler. The Clover has this really cool L on one side. Let me open this up. I'm going to show you how to change blades too. And they have the R on the other side. So if you're right-handed, you need to flip that piece over. If you're left-handed, you make sure the left is facing up. It amazes me when I teach class how many people actually don't put their blades on their machine properly, or on their rotary cutter. Have I missed anything? Oh, okay. Baby Lock and Brother have the letter O as well for the 1/4 inch foot. Thank you, Christine. I didn't know that. Now, this is my, I've seen a lot of people have the ergonomic cutter from Olfa, where it's 2-sided like this. And again, this one's set up for the right-handed person. Maybe this one is not working. There we go. Right-handed person, because the blade is closest to the ruler on this side. But if I want to use it for myself, you can tell I don't use this cutter very often. I would make sure I flipped the blade to the other side. This is a tool that used to be in my shop, so that's why it's set up still as a right-handed tool, because I don't use this one. I'm flipping it looks like a D-shaped screw in there. So if you're left-handed, your blade should be on the right side of the rotary cutter. If you're right-handed, it should be on the left side. I know that's backwards, but that's how it works. So, and then the other thing with this style of cutter is I don't encourage you to lock it open, because we'll forget and then we have an open blade. It doesn't bounce back. That's why I don't like this one. It's one of the reasons I don't like it. The other reason is it's more cumbersome for me to use, so I don't like it. But I have one to show, so that's what I brought it today. And it's purple. You know, I've got a thing for purple. But I do tend to use this one a lot. And I also have the Quilter Select, which I love because it's heavyweight. It's weighted metal here. And when I use it, I can just tap it to close it to make sure there's no blade open. It's a pressured open blade, which I like. So there's a plethora of rotary cutters. Now, if you have a Friskers, which looks similar like this, that has the rounder part, they do wear out. I encourage you to kind of upgrade to an Olfa or a Clover, because the price points, it's okay. All right, let's see. Oops, let me put the cap on this. This one has an open blade. It doesn't have a self-closing. It has a lid. There we go. maybe. There we go. Okay. So we've got the rotary cutter. You need a mat. Make sure it's a rotary cutting mat. It could be any size. Right now, in my directions, I have 18 by 24. If you have space for it, that's the common size I would recommend, because you're going to be cutting fabric that is going to be 21 inches on some cases. Rulers. Now, one of the things I encourage for every new quilter are a set of rulers. Rulers are not cheap. So they're just not cheap. Let me get my stuff out of the way so I can show you some of my rulers. Now, I do encourage a 12.5-inch ruler. This one is 8.5 by 12.5, and I'm going to show you how I cut all my fabric using this ruler. As you can see, it's very well loved. I've had this one obviously over 12 years, and it's starting to be worn a little bit. Now the grippies are not. This is a Creative Grid. I love Creative Grid rulers. We will have them back in stock soon. Right now I don't have them just because of the move, but we'll get there. So I definitely recommend at least a 12.5 by 6.5. I like the 8.5 because of that extra 2 inches matters. Couple rulers I encourage every quilter to own. Look at the reflection. Isn't that kind of cool? I didn't realize I was going to do that. First is a 12.5, because you're going to do a lot of 12.5-inch blocks in your quilting career. The next one would be a 9.5, because that's another common size. And I do encourage you to have a 6.5 for this particular project. So for right now, you need at least 2 rulers. You need the 6.5 square and a 12.5 by either 8.5 or 6.5 for this project. The other ones I encourage you to build into your Notion library. That's what I call it, Notion library. All right. Let me see what my next Notion is. You need thread. We all need thread. I carry Mettler thread, and I carry it in grays. I carry it in a cone. Some machines you need a cone stand. We have those coming in again, but you get better money. You get more for your buck. The Mettler I carry is 50 weight, and that's going to matter in piecing because it allows us to have a smaller seam allowance not being eaten up. You really don't want to use a 40 or 30 weight, and this is cotton. My philosophy is natural fibers with natural fibers. Can you use a polyester thread because that's all you have? Yeah, sure, totally. Use what you got. But I encourage you, as you start building into your new career quilting hobby, to start getting rid of certain threads and use cotton for it. Now, I do not recommend Coats and Clark. I normally wouldn't say this publicly on a live video, but they tend to coat their thread with a product to make it stronger. In some places, it's not good quality, and that builds up in your machine. And as a technician, I've seen it. So I'm not just saying that because I think I can say that. But we all have it. We all have that Coats and Clark multi-purpose thread, and we want to use it up because it's money in our minds. But if it's going to cost you more money to use it when you have to clean out your machine, have your machine serviced, or it breaks in your project future on down the road, think again about the value of what you're using and what you're doing when you're making your quilts. So this is what we use. Can you Orfil, Gutermann, Sulky? Those are also really good threads as well. But this is just what we carry. We carry the Mettler. All right. So machine needles. Yeah, Christine, I've seen their new one. I don't have it in hand. I'm gonna look at it at Market. So Christine said the Creative Grid ruler brand has their own weighted rotary cutter now. So I'm gonna check that out at Market when I go next week, and I want to feel it. I have been really sketchy to buy it or order it because I'm kind of partial to Quilter Select. So that's a good point. Thanks for shouting that out there, Christine. Let's see what else. So needles. So if you watched the Great Quilting Adventure last night, I mentioned needles and offered these 2 that I have currently in stock. You're going to need 2 different kinds of needles to quilt. You're going to need a sharp needle or a microtex needle for piecing. The microtex needles are finer tips. They create smaller holes, and you want an 80-20 to work with your 50 weight thread. The size of the needle needs to work with the size of thread. So if you had like a 60 weight thread, you could use 80, but I'd probably go down to 75. You want the eye to be fitting. You don't want a big eye for a thin needle because it'll create friction and break your threads. So we're going to do Microtex and sharps, depending on what you pick. I do carry Schmidt's, but there's a lot of other brands out there. Again, I don't recommend Singer. If they shatter, these ones don't shatter. They break clean, and you normally can find all the pieces when Schmidt's needles break. Same with Oregon needles, which is the other one I like. But piecing is the sharps. And then if we are going to quilt, we're going to want a thicker thread. I know you can quilt with 50 weight, totally can quilt with 50 weight. But I like a 40 weight or even a 30 weight when I quilt because I like the look of it. That's the bottom line, because there's no difference. But you do want a bigger needle because you're going through layers of fabric and batting. And again, keeping that friction down on the needle and on the thread, you want a bigger eye. So we carry top stitch 90/40 as well. I also normally carry jeans, but they didn't have them in the chrome. I really want to get things in the chrome because I like the chrome needles, not because they just look cool, but because they last a little longer. You should be changing your needles every 6 to 8 sewing hours because they dull. Just hitting your finger, your scissor tips, just banging things around, they get dull. So I do encourage you to change it every 6 to 8 hours. The chrome, I've noticed, lasts a little bit longer. They don't dull as fast, but I would still change it every 10 hours of sewing time. So that's our needles. Scissors. Well, scissors are scissors. I do recommend scissors that you can resharpen. Can you use Friskers? I have Friskers at home. These ones that happen to be serrated, you don't need them for this project. But if you're investing in scissors, I encourage you to look at serrated scissors because you would use them on something that I'm going to do after this class. I've already got the next series planned for this. So we're going to do a series on teaching you applique, foundation piecing, and some other techniques. So, all right, scissors, bobbins, pins. So again, last night, I'm referring back to my show that I did for the Great Quilting Adventure last night, and talk about pins. I talked about pins because we carry all these in stock. I don't carry the yellow ones right now, but most of us own a big old box. I should have brought my box over here of these yellow head quilting pins because they say yellow head quilting pins. Yes, Christine, I will do EPP. That's going to be a whole nother series. And we get them because they say quilting pins. That means we must use them. The only thing I don't like about these is that they're thick. And when we start piecing things, I'll talk about this when we get to that point. If you pull that out, it shifts your fabric, especially when you're really trying to match some intricate seams. So I don't encourage these pins unless you're doing like multi-layers. I don't even encourage it for quilting because you'll end up poking yourself more often than not. These little unicorn ones are my Tulas. Again, same concept. I don't use them for piecing, but I use them for holding thicker projects together. Mainly bags is what I use these pins for. But this is what I use. This is patchwork pins from Clover. They are called fine. You can find extra fine. I think these ones are actually extra fine. They are really, oops, if I get under the camera. There they go. They're really fine. Here, let me see if I can pull one up. I'm just, see how the difference is in the size? I'm trying not to stab myself. Size this one's a lot thicker. When you pull these out, your whole piece is not going to shift. And that's the key why you want to use those fine pins for quilting. And the other cool thing I have here is a magnetic pin cushion. These are my favorite. I have several of them because they come with a lid. And when this is a Clover, I love Clover brand. I love Tula and I love Clover brand. So this is a great one to do for traveling, or if you're just even moving around your house with your pins so they won't fall off or get lost in your bag. So I love this pin cushion. So, all right, what else we got on the seam ripper? All right, let's talk about seam rippers. How many of you own the garments, the big blue handle one? That's what we'll call it. Big blue handle seam rippers. They're funky. They're square, and the ripper itself is really big and fat. Now, we probably all have one of those because, you know, we thought, I'm going to get this sewing kit because it's got a seam ripper in it. It's not the ripper you're going to want for quilting. Let me move my coffee out of the way here. Again, this is a Clover one. This particular seam ripper is thinner, so it can get between the stitches. I'm actually going to, my camera is not focusing. Move my hand. Can you see it? There we go. So you can see it's a thinner seam ripper. So this is what you really want to work with when you have to rip stitches out on our quilting processes, because our quilting stitches are going to be small and fine. This is my baby. I love this. I love it so much that I just ordered 16 to show off for you guys in November, not in purple. I think I got 3 purples, some blues, some greens, some orange, and some white. Can't wait for these to come in. This one's got that thin ripper as well. I have a tape on here so I would know which side is my ripper side, because on the other side I have a stiletto, which you're probably not going to need for this project, but it's something to think about if you like this. These are one of the luxury items that I just love because it goes purple with everything I've got. All right, so we got the seam ripper marking pen for this. I'm going to encourage you to look and see if you have a blue water soluble, not air soluble. It needs to be water soluble, blue or purple marking pen, because we'll be using that towards the end of our process. At that point in my supply list, so here's my supply list. At the point, the seam ripper, marking pencil, all the stuff down is all for the quilting process. So if you are just trying to get going, don't worry about anything past that. But we're going to need blues painter's tape. We're going to need some curved safety pins. I didn't bring all that stuff here because I'll talk about that and further on. And your walking foot. Now, I will talk about the walking foot only because you might have to invest in one. So this is a walking foot, or a dual feed foot, some brands call them. And some of them look different than this, but the concept is, it is basically a mechanical foot that is on top that you actually have to take your other shank and foot off to put it on. So that's something key. Now, if you have a Pfaff machine, and even some Berninas and some Genomis, my other Genomi has it kind of built in. You still have to put a special foot on, but you still can, it's kind of built in where you don't have to worry about this lever. I'm going to show you how to put this on when we get to that point, but you need to invest in this, because if you're going to quilt, you need to have this. You're going to need it for your binding, you're going to need it for your quilting. We're not going to do free motion quilting in the beginning. I want you to be successful, and this will help you be successful. They normally anywhere from $25 to $100, depending on your brand. And what you're going to do is, let me tell you the purpose of a walking foot. Can you quilt without one? Sure. That's how most people start off. But then you're going to end up with puckers, because what happens is when you have a layer, a sandwich of fabric and batting going under the needle, the bottom feed dogs, which is what these are basically are moving that bottom piece. And up top, it's slipping and sliding. So this is why you need a walking foot, because essentially the walking foot is a pair of feed dogs for the top piece of fabric. And what this does is, once the needle comes down, so do the feet. So the needle is down because that's in the up position, and the feet come down. Your feed dogs on the bottom are coming up. They're going to pinch it together as a sandwich and pull it under the needle, so that puckering doesn't happen as much. It can still happen, but not a lot. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on that when we get to that point. So you need to invest in one of these, and this is why I bring it up now instead of waiting until quilting, because it might take you a little while to get it. Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks for those to come in. All right, so I think that was our supply list. Let me go back over here and talk directly to you. Does anybody have any questions? I talked fast because it was a lot of information. I don't know if you realize in YouTube, once you go back and maybe rewatch this, you can slow it down or speed it up. I talk pretty quickly, so you don't have to speed me up, I don't think. You can actually change your setting on speeding up some videos when you watch it. Let me go to see who's anybody got any comments. And you need one of those seam rippers in purple, huh? Well, I've got some coming. Brother or baby lock walking foot are available on Amazon for $9 price. Okay, cool. And I think the brother and baby lock are interchangeable too. I can't remember. I don't quote me on that. I always encourage you, check out your local area. I mean, I know there's not, some places don't have a lot of access to those things, but check out your dealer, because eventually you're going to have to see them if you have to have your machine serviced. So I would encourage you to check them out. And you think, well, there's no shops around me. You never know. You never know. Just look it up in Google. Google is wonderful, isn't it? So does anybody have questions about the supply list? And like I said, you might be already a quilter, maybe an intermediate, even advanced quilter, and you probably have like 5,000 rotary cutters like I do, or 5,000 rulers. But again, this is just to show you the basics, and from here you can always add to it. And one of the other things you can always ask is if I could show you something else, because I have a lot of rulers and I have a lot of things, so I would gladly demonstrate them if you would like me to. So, Linda and Christine says baby lock and brother are interchangeable. I did not know that. So, but because I don't have a baby lock, I have a Bernini. I have 2 Berninas and 2 Genomes, which are totally different. Just saying. All right. So what I'm going to do is put this list. I'm going to actually, I found some not errors, but things I want to add to it. I'm going to upload this PDF in our Mighty Networks under our coffee chat Quilting Basics group, so you can follow along. But I encourage you, if you are going to sew along with us, to post in that group the picture of your focus fabric, because I will probably call you out on Tuesday and give you some ideas and suggestions on what we're going to do for the next piece, is picking out fabrics. And I'm going to talk about how to understand a little bit about saturation. It's not going to be an in-depth session, but it's going to be a little bit more information than I would typically give if I was in class. In class, I want you to be successful. So we pick out fabric together and I explain why, and that's it. And we'll have a little more time for me to do this a little more one-on-one. I like the 6.5 by 24.5 rule for cutting angles. Well, Christine, you can do it on your other ruler too. In fact, I just did a video for our VIP club on how to do it using the rulers on your 12.5. Just fine. But I can always show you that too. We did 6-degree angles for our VIP club. And I had a lot of people try to join our VIP club Facebook group. Just so you know, that is a paid membership. And I would love to have you on. Just watch for Monday's email from the Fiberology Lab. And I'll have a link in there if you would like to join the VIP club and get the monthly projects and the quarterly mystery quilts. So, all right. Does anybody have any other questions? And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for coming back and watching us. I know I have quite a few people that watch on the replay, but this is where we're starting today. It's Friday, so that means I'm off for the weekend. Well, not really. We have some things going on tomorrow, but I will be back Monday with a weekly lab report, and then on Tuesday I'll pick right back up on session 2 of Quilting Basics. We're going to be picking out fabric and how that looks and how it can help you maybe learn some new ways to picking out fabric. Because the 2 most common things I heard as a teacher that scare people is picking out fabric and cutting fabric. They weren't scared of the sewing part. They were just scared of cutting and picking out fabric. So I'm going to hopefully help you overcome some of those concerns. So, all right. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. I really appreciate everybody's time this morning. This video will be available on YouTube for, who knows, forever, probably just forever. But again, in the Mighty Networks group, you'll find the PDF so we can get started on Tuesday with picking out our fabrics, and our fabric requirements will be on the PDF for Tuesday. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. Again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And just reach out if you have questions, info@fiberologylab.com. And remember, your friends, fibers, and fun.